Hey guys, we are back in the vegetable garden finally. It feels like it has been so long since we have done anything in here. I think the last thing that we did in here was the blueberry and strawberry patch, which was forever ago. So a couple things that have happened in here since that. We got the mulch done. Look at it. So this actually took a really long time. The grass that was in here, or it wasn't grass, it was weeds. It was just a bunch of weeds. So the whole thing was covered in weeds, and it had a ton of rock in here. Like this used to be a dog kennel, and I think that they had just gravelled it. So they put down like a hard pack rock and then gravel and pea gravel on top of it. And so it was just really hard to get the weeds out of this area, especially over here by the table. So I finally yesterday got all of the weeds out, and I didn't film it because it was not entertaining at all. It was just mindless grunt work, but it's done. And now we have all of this mulch in here. It feels clean, it looks good, so mulch, yay. So the mulch is done, that's great, but nothing else has been done in here, and these garden boxes have been ready for a while. So today is the day. We are gonna change that. We are planting our tomatoes, our pepper, and I just picked up a little basil. Originally, I was gonna start my basil from seed, but it's a little late for that now. It gets really hot here really fast, and I don't wanna deal with basil and bolting and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna plant this now. I'm gonna enjoy it while I can. I think it wasn't very much. I think it was like maybe $6 or $7 for a basil plant this size, which is pretty good. There's like 4 very large established basil clusters in this pot right here, so I'm happy, it's fine. We'll get a head start on it next year. So today, tomatoes, peppers, basil, this back bed, that's pretty much what's gonna be in here. Let's get started. Okay, so coming down here to the box level, we're gonna have our basil plant in here on this side, probably somewhere in right about this area. I have 4 pepper plants and 4 tomato plants. All right, there we go. So we have our 4 pepper plants. These are gonna go probably right down here on this left-hand side in the front. What we are planting is the traditional jalapeno. We have a serrano. I also picked up a banana pepper because I think I want to try and can that, because that sounds like a fun project. And then the third one, or the fourth one, excuse me, is called a Hungarian, oh no, that's a Hungarian banana. That's the banana one. Where's my friend? Oh, Neapolitan. And the Neapolitan is a baby bell pepper. And it changes color as it matures, so we'll get a couple different colors of bell pepper out of this one plant, and they're smaller. I've always had an issue with like the big bell peppers. You usually get like 2 or 3 per plant. It's not really worth it to me, but this plant is supposed to produce quite a few of the baby bells, so that's what we're gonna plant for peppers. As far as tomatoes go, I have a black cherry tomato. I have an almost paste tomato, which is kind of like your traditional Roma shape. And then I have 2 fun tomatoes. I have a pineapple tomato, which looks like an heirloom, kind of a squashed pumpkin, Cinderella pumpkin shape with purple and orange tones. And then I was given the 4th one for free, actually. He gave me a tomato called Thessaloniki. It's a Thessaloniki tomato. We had been talking a lot about Greek food and spices and herbs and things that I like to cook with, and he said that I needed to leave with one of those today, whether I was going to pay for it or not. So we're going to plant that. We're going to see how it goes. He said that I was going to like that tomato a lot, so I will trust him. A couple things of note before we get into the planting today. I am going to be doing a whole system for the tomato plants. I don't have the T-posts yet, but I need to get these tomato plants in this garden bed. So we're just gonna go ahead and plant them today, and I'm gonna stake them on bamboo stakes. Eventually they will be put on strings, and I will have 8-foot T-posts in here, and there will be a whole string system to secure them vertically. I always forget to mention amendments before I get started on this stuff. And I also wanted to note, if you guys saw these very large PVC tees, these are going to be for the rigging system or the staking system that I'm going to use for the tomato plants. Essentially, it's going to be a T-post with a T on top, and then there's going to be a metal bar that goes across the top that I'm going to attach string to. It's a pretty common staking system for people that use or plant a lot of tomato plants. I just find that it works really well to keep a plant very vertical and slender, so I can plant more next to each other. They don't need quite as much space as a tomato cage would. So that's what these are for. if you guys were wondering. As far as amendments go for how I'm gonna plant these tomatoes in, it was advised to me to use Epsom salts as a form of magnesium. So I'm going to use a little bit of this in the bottom of the hole, as well as oyster shells. Now this is very similar to, like, I think bone meal and other calcium supplements, but this is a slower release. The Epsom salts I think were primarily recommended because our area has a really high tendency for blossom end rot, and on tomatoes like paste tomatoes, I can hear the dogs inside. And on tomatoes like paste tomatoes, you get a lot of blossom end rot. It just happens. So I was told that Epsom salts are a source of magnesium, very good for that, and that the oyster shells also are really good for tomato plants. So that's what I'll be using for those. As far as the basil and our peppers, I'm just gonna use our starter fertilizer, and I will amend those as needed throughout the season. So let's get planting. Alrighty, you guys, well, that is planted. I mean, dang, I cannot. This is so exciting. It is literally just, it's so exciting to put stuff in the ground, and like, I just hope all of it does well and everything is good. If you guys noticed, the basil that I had, I actually split it in half because it really was 4 individual plants. So I split it in half so that it's a row in case I need to trellis it for some reason, if it gets that big that quickly. And then the other thing that I did that I didn't talk about before we started is that I included the trellis string for the tomato. And the reason that I wanted to do that is because I wanted to anchor the line in underneath the plant into the actual like native ground so that it is strong as possible. So you can only do that when you're planting. So I did that and I measured out probably like 10 feet of string just so that I know that I have enough to do however tall the trellising ends up being. I have a feeling the trellis will end up being about 6 feet tall just because I have an 8-foot T-post, or I will be getting 8-foot T-posts, and I think that they're probably going to end up going in the ground 1 foot to 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet. So that's that. But yeah, this was it. Planting tomatoes and peppers and some basil in this garden. It is a pretty full bed at this point, but I definitely think that like I could probably sprinkle in maybe some like marigolds or something like that, like a pest deterrent. Marigolds can be good for that. But this box is pretty much set. I think that pretty much means that most of my line vegetables are gonna be in the box behind me with the cucumbers and stuff, but I'm just glad to have some stuff in the ground. How exciting. Alrighty guys, like I said a second ago, I don't have anything more for you on this episode, so I am going to cut it here. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next episode. Bye.